Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this privilege to discuss on this very important issue. This motion is moved because I feel that there may have been a breach to the spirit of the Land Transfer Act 1972 as amended in 2010. The reason that brought to my attention and reflected upon is regarding the response to the last autumn sessions to the answered question number 12 raised by one honorable member regarding the limestone mining that has been leased to different companies and industries in the form of mining lease. And also the another incidents that have occurred in East Jaintia Hill and Narpu Ilaka on the public hearing of one of the cement company. We have seen, sir, what kind of eyes of some of the non-tribal employee of that cement factory are looking at our fellow friends and neighbors. This kind of language they have used, which is not only cursed but absurd and unacceptable. Of course, those people have been terminated from the job, but the message is loud and clear. There is very little love and respect for our beloved people. And the third point is that mineral resources have been leased from a tribal to a non-tribal or to a company in the form of mining lease agreement. Sir, as our leaders and our forefathers who have framed the act were far-sighted as they have already foreseen about what is going to happen to all of us in the absence and also in the misimplementation of the act. Mr. Speaker, sir, land sustains a very aspect of our life, providing fundamental support to our system and the foundation of our economy and the society. It also encompasses a deep sense of community, spirituality, and identity. Therefore, I felt that the purpose of the act is to ensure adequate land for our future generation, to ensure our identity and ethnicity is protected, to ensure that we do not lose our lands to a stranger or to other settlers, to ensure that our children and our grandchildren do not become a tribe without a state. When I look at the definition of the words transfer, means conveyance of lands of one person to another includes gift, sales, exchange, mortgage, lease, surrender. And again, sir, in the section 3, subsection 1, reads, no land in Meghalaya shall be transferred to a non-tribal, by a tribal to a non-tribal, or by a non-tribal to another non-tribal, except with the previous sanction of the competent authority. And also said, provided further that no notification made under the preceding proviso shall apply to transfer of land for any of the purpose mentioned in the clause E or F of subsection 1 of section 4. Sir, in the section 4, subsection 1, clause E and F, have stated a relaxation for the outsider to buy land for the purpose of setting educational inclusion, industry, religious, washing place. All these should come with a development or contribution to the economy of the tribal residents. And for granting such permission to transfer land to any tribal-owned land to other people who are not tribal, a concern of a various land tribals, a traditional retreat is a must. If there is a tribal person who is willing to buy land, the proposal to transfer the lands to any non-tribal cannot be considered. It is if it is for the government agency or a state government, transfer is allowed. The benefit in implementation of the Act, several industries in which and other natural resources are the main raw materials are given mining lease for mining minerals in the state. In Jaintia Hills and Khasi Hills, several tribal individuals have given their land to lease to a non-tribal and companies for mining various minerals including coal, limestone and iron ore. Lease agreements is a temporary occupation, not a permanent settlement, but areas of land that are given to the companies for mining ranges from 4 acres to several kilometers. The time frame mentioned in the lease agreement is 30, sometimes more than 30 years, sir. By the end of such periods of such mining lease, in every livelihood, none of the parties will still survive. But the company will still be there and may claim ownership over the land. Whereas at that point of time, the successor of the person who grant mining lease of such companies will not even know or even is in possession of all required documents for reverting the land back to the tribal people. Sir, we are talking about border issue, losing land to Assam at the border, whereas we are quietly allowing a slow and a quiet mechanism to carry on allocating a land to those companies and industries, in particular in Jaintia Hills and Khasi Hill. The twist, sir, in implementing this act, whenever there is application on the issue of mining lease between a tribal and a non-tribal, the respective deputy commissioner, whether he adopt a system of showing in papers that a notice has been circulated to seek public opinion on the proposed mining lease or land transfer. Sometimes the facts remain that such notices are just an eyewash to show that they exist, and at the end of the notice, nobody who are tribal have come forward to submit objections. So the application is processed and granted. Notice should be served to the Dorbashnong, the tribal chief of the area, or the local resident. Sometimes nobody knows or aware of such existence of such notices. Subsequently, the mining lease was smoothly approved by the government. Mishandling of the act, sir, by the concerned department have overlooked the fact that transfer of land is allowed only for the purpose of setting up of industries, educational institution, and for religious place and washing place only. The act does not permit, sir, on transfer or issuing of lease for mining purpose. So the twisting and bending of this permit or approved mining lease to the companies or non-tribal are not legal and valid. We have to be clear, sir, in our minds, sir, mining is not industry, and industry is not mining. Mining is a process of extracting raw materials and other natural resources to feed to the industries. So what is important in implementing the act in letter and spirit and its positive impacts on our local tribal residents of Meghalaya. The government should come up with certain policy to screen each and every sales deeds and land lease or transfer even among the tribals too. All land should be approved and certified by the concerned land and revenue officer of a respective district. The certificate should be issued by the revenue officer and should clearly state provisions of regulation of Land Transfer Act are not attracted as both the parties are tribal, hence the approval. Henceforth, sir, this certificate shall be made compulsory and be a part of the document in the mining lease application. The Department of Mining and Geology or any other department in the governments of Meghalaya should revisit the mining lease granted to various parties immediately and cancel such lease if needed, if one of the parties is found to be not tribal. the Deputy Commissioner and the renewal of all districts in Meghalaya should be directed not to process or forward any mining lease application if both the parties are not tribals. Those mining lease which have been already expired should be reverted back to the landowner. Sir, the ongoing land alienation within the state should be stopped. And the impacts of the acts on local tribal residents of the Meghalaya. Speaker, sir, if this act is implemented in the letter and spirit, it will have a following impacts on the local tribal residents of Meghalaya. Mining will remain within the local people, and people from outside will not be able to do mining in Meghalaya. It will generate number of opportunities and jobs for our local, as there will be sharp rise of granting mining licenses to our local people. Our local people will be a legal and legitimate suppliers of all minerals to the industries and the companies. This will generate lakhs and lakhs of employment along the massive development to the state as a whole and improve the economic condition of the people, especially the people living in minerals-bearing areas. There will be a mutual respect among the local tribals and the operators of various industries, as they may and will have an interdependence on each other. And also, Speaker Sir, positive impacts on the local residents and also a conducive atmosphere for the tribal and the industry relationship. Sir, I'm not here to speak against any company or stands against any developments. But our states need to strive forward for towards development, especially to raise the economic incomes of the states and our people. I want investor, we want companies to invest in our states. But also, I want that even the coke factory in West Castle to be reopened in a legal manner. But sir, we cannot compromise developments with our land. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm not blaming this government that they are doing the mining lease. The government in the past have done the same. The present day, the government of the day have done the same. We cannot blame anyone, but here my humble submission, sir, that urge the government of the day to look ahead. What is best interest for our beloved people? Are we going to allow the furthermore land alienation in the form of lease agreement? If not, kindly consider my submission. With this submission, sir, thank you very much once again. I shall resume my seat.
Thank you. Ardent Basaiawmoit, MLA, please.
At the outset, sir, I would like to express my thanks to you for allowing me to participate in this motion moved by the honorable member from Longstein, that this House to now discuss the land alienation within the state of Meghalaya and its impact on the tribals of Meghalaya. So, the Meghalaya Transfer of Land Regulation Act was enacted to prevent the alienation of land from a tribal to a non-tribal. So I have been saying this, and I will say it now again, that a tribal without land is as good as dead. So the alienation of land is taking place every day in different forms of interpretations. It is taking place in the form of the power of attorney, in the name of religion, in the name of development, and in various disguised manner. So the insertion of section 4(1)(e) and F into the Meghalaya Transfer of Land Regulation Act 1972 has diluted the spirit of the act. So in the present day, lands are being transferred in large tract from a tribal to another tribal to facilitate the use of land by the non-tribal, avoiding the Land Transfer Act. This is more dangerous transfer and mode of modus of operandi. The talk is doing the rounds that men in power bought huge tracts of land in the proposed sites of New Shillong Township before the local residents came to know about the project, which has resulted in the alienation of land and benefits from the local population. The local people, instead of selling their land to the government at a better rate, they are made to sell to these individuals at the throwaway prices, and they in turn will sell to the government. So, what is the meaning of alienation from a wider perspective? It is when a person or group of people becomes separated from something which is essential to their nature or from society. So, we know that we are already having numerous numbers of laws to protect and safeguard our identity and our interest, like the Meghalaya Transfer of Land Regulation Act 1972, the Benami Transaction Act 1980, the Trading by Non-Tribal Regulation Act. We have the Dorbar Shnong, we have the Dorbar Hima, the District Council, and the state government. But why are we still afraid for our future? And that the sense of insecurity still dictates our minds. So, according to my understanding, and this is actually, in fact, a crux of the problem, it is all because of corruption. Therefore, the more we try to ignore corruption, the more the danger for the state. The Chief Minister, while responding to the issue of Lokayukta being raised by our honorable member from North Shillong, Adalbert Nongrum, had mentioned that the Lokayukta is fully functioned. So the question here is whether it is allowed to function independently without the interference of the state government, whether its autonomy is being compromised or not. From what was happening recently, it was seen so that the autonomy of the Lokayukta was being compromised. The chairman of the Lokayukta had to remove 3 officials under the recommendation of the state government. The state government claimed that the appointments of these 3 officials were illegal. So it is laughable that it took more than a year for the government to unearth its own mistakes. Moreover, the Chief Minister said that the appointment of serving officials would save the expenses of the government. Oh, what an irony. The same person who is so concerned about saving the state's exchequer when the government appointed the 3 officials in the Lokayukta is the same person who defended the appointment of 175 political appointees. Therefore, sir, the removal of those 3 officials was nothing but a punishment for carrying out their job honestly. It was also a clear message to others that this is going to happen if you should carry your jobs honestly.
Please stick to the subject matter. Please.
Yeah, sir, I'm coming to the crux of the problem, sir. I've already explained. When we talk about corruption, sir, we need to know that the meaning of corruption does not confine to monetary terms only, but has a wider connotation. It also means any action which does not conform to the rules, procedures, and practices is also an act of corruption. Misusing and abusing of power is also an act of corruption. So, I don't want to say this, but I was left with no option. Sir, without any iota of doubt and with conviction, I can say that I've never come across this leadership such as this, which is so vindictive and corrupt. So it has been a normal practice that the Block Development Monitoring Council, BDMC, in the block level, is to be reconstituted every 5 years. And the names of these members used to be recommended by the incumbent MLA. These committees, as we all know, is a direct link between the blocks and the local representatives. So, however, till today, the government has not approved the recommendations made by the incumbent MLAs in many of the constituencies belonging to the opposition, and instead allow the committees to function comprising of members recommended by the previous MLAs. So I feel this is not fair. I feel this is not fair because we are elected, duly elected by the people. You may not like me, you may dislike me, but you cannot insult the people who have voted us as MLA. So, had it been a personal matter, I would have remained silent, but I will not allow no one to insult the people who have elected us to power. So, the purchase of land by the government to create land banks is also another concern of alienation of land if no measures are adopted to protect the interests of the local people. So, in fact, when we look at the leadership, we always look at them as a fatherly figure who would embrace everyone. Despite our differences, we may have issues, we may have differences in the house. We are here to work together. It doesn't mean that just because we raise issues that we will take it personal. So, sir, on behalf of my people and all those concerned, I would strongly demand from the government to approve the list that we have recommended to the government, failing which I'll be left with no option but to stage a protest to expose the vindictiveness of the government. So with these few words, sir, I resume my seat.